So the grid is set for the Miami Grand Prix, and just before I get into qualifying, a bit of an update ahead of the session. Kevin Magnussen is under investigation for unsportsmanlike behaviour, so could more penalties be coming his way? The investigation is going to be continuing after qualifying. He was called in before qualifying, and then we'll see if more penalties are to come. But he did also get 3 penalty points for his 10-second penalties, now on 8 penalty points, so it's, you know, a few more and he could be out of a race, and a first driver to get a ban if he gets more points following this investigation. So a bit of a nervous wait for Kevin Magnussen, and we'll see what happens ahead of that. But I'm sure we'll get updates later today, definitely before the race tomorrow, so I'll update you on that as soon as I get something. The penalties for this session, last time I did get it wrong because I thought Daniel Ricciardo's 3-place grid penalty would be taken for the sprint. It's actually going to be for the race, and it's, yeah, probably the worst time possible for it, isn't it? He had and we'll get straight to Q1. He had a horrible session, Daniel Ricciardo. He's going to start last. He qualified P17, and what a difference just a few hours make. He was over the moon, a P4 qualifying and finish in the sprint, and it's just gone horribly wrong for him in this session. Very, very surprising how we've had 2 very different sessions, even from the way the sprint is finished to what's happened in qualifying now. And I think this is partly because we'll see what having the difference of what 2-part Fermays makes, isn't it? Because we've got 2 effectively different grids, and the grid we've got today is probably what you'd probably more expect in line with a normal qualifying session. So very interesting how, you know, the 2 grids completely different, and the setup changes and things like that make it obviously clearly making a big difference on how cars perform. And it's gone horribly wrong for Daniel Ricciardo. He's going to start last after that 3-place penalty. Zhou Guanyu, P19, so even horrible session for him. And Kevin Magnussen also, it's just got even worse, a P18 in qualifying, beaten easily by his teammate. He'll be disappointed with that because that car in for a shout for points this weekend, and he's given himself a lot of work to do. Logan Sargent much better off, P17. He's not last. It did look like that at one point. He'd had the pace to go through, and yeah, just not enough. He'll be disappointed with that. And Valtteri Bottas, P16. Pierre Gasly was a star of that session, a P5 for him. What a lap, because that car has been stinking all season, hasn't it? And there's been just way back, and to pull that off, I think credit to him really there, because he's the one that seems to have made the difference. 1 and 2 in that session was the 2 Red Bulls, Verstappen and Perez, and then followed by Lando, Norris, who looked like the one after what we expected in sprint qualifying. He'd expected him to be the one to take the fight to Red Bulls. It just wasn't to be, was it? And we'll get straight to SQ2. Norris tried the mediums in that session, and they were really struggling. A lot of teams struggling with what tyre do you pick. Everybody went for the softs, especially in Q2, and it was a change, wasn't it? It looked like Lewis Hamilton was coming to the fore. A brilliant lap from him. Leclerc led that one, Verstappen second, and Hamilton third, just a 10th behind first place. So it suddenly looked like, what the heck is going on? Mercedes had a horrible sprint, qualifying, a decent pace in the race for Hamilton. In the sprint, I suppose he was in some battles, but it's, yeah, you thought, right, they've just come alive, haven't they? But it wasn't to be. A decent SQ2 though, and qualifying, it was horrible for Fernando Alonso, P15 for him. The first time he's not been in the top 10 all season, so yeah, not very, very good from Fernando Alonso. Alex Albon in 14th place, Ocon 13th and Gasly 12th, so much better from the Alpine teams, but Ocon will be disappointed. He's been beaten by his teammate Pierre Gasly. Them two are the ones battling it out. And Lance Stroll beats Fernando Alonso again in qualifying. He'd be massively happy with that, but overall I think it's disappointing that not a single Aston Martin in the top 10. And the stars there, Yuki Tsunoda P9 and Nico Hülkenberg P10 for him. I've already talked about Hamilton. Russell was P8. And then we got to SQ qualifying 3. Sainz and Hülkenberg were investigated for impeding, similar to what happened between Tsunoda SQ1 in qualifying 1 with Sargent. I mean, it was similar to what Bottas had with Yuki, so potentially grid place penalty for Yuki Tsunoda, who knows, but Carlos Sainz's was very, very similar to Yuki's, and they were quick to say no investigation there, although Sainz did move off the racing line at the very last minute. Yuki kind of didn't, so that's the only sort of small difference between that two, but they really did cause the guys behind to really make it, couldn't take the ideal line through that corner. And so I would be a little bit surprised and disappointed for Yuki if he gets a penalty and Carlos Sainz gets away with that one. But yeah, strange session, because the first laps it was really race on, wasn't it? And then the second runs, everybody just seemed to go way off. They just seemed to lose grip, and when they go on for a full flyer on them soft, they just don't seem to produce any grips. The Mercedes strangely went for softs on the first run and went for mediums on the second. They should have probably realised from Norris, who went for the mediums on the first run and softs on the second, that the mediums weren't going to produce the lap that you'd probably want. But they didn't have any softs left, so probably was the option of, do you go for used softs and see what that produces, or do you try a fresh brand new medium and see if there's any performance difference there? And there were 2 Ferraris were the stars really in that one. Max Verstappen takes 6 poles out of 6. A fantastic result from him. He's been brilliant in qualifying. He just always seems to pull off something fantastic. Charles Leclerc in second place, just 1/10 behind Max Verstappen, and Carlos Sainz in third. So the 2 Ferraris will be attacking that single Red Bull up front. If they can get anywhere close, I'm sure they'll try. I guess it's really off the starts, but Verstappen's been faultless there so far this season. Perez lines up in 4th place. He'll be disappointed. He wanted to have been a lot closer to Max Verstappen, and so potentially we could see a fight for win. Lando Norris in 5th. It came together for him in the end, but the McLaren was disappointing because yesterday for the sprint qualifying, it looked like they were the guys to take the fight to the Red Bulls. They were a bit off the pace, so I'm not sure what's changed for them. Oscar Piastri lines up 6th, so 2 McLarens, and then followed by the 2 Mercedes. George Russell P7, Lewis Hamilton P8. It's a better qualifying for them compared to what we've seen in the sprint, but I think they'll still be disappointed because they just seem to have dropped off. Lewis Hamilton looked like he'd be right in the fight for potential, at least second row of the grid, but it didn't quite work for him, did it? And I think they'll still be a little bit disappointed, although overall probably better than last time. Nico Hülkenberg a P9 and Yuki Tsunoda a P10. Like I said, Yuki's position could be up for change, and let's see what comes of this Magnussen scenario, isn't it? That's the big one. Will they come down hard on him for just effectively taking one for the team and just driving dirty throughout that? Was it dangerous? It really wasn't, but he was a bit erratic, wasn't he? And I think the stewards will probably want to just sort of stamp out this kind of behaviour and maybe will they make an example of him, and so that we don't see other drivers doing similar tactics for other sprint races. Who knows? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that one comes out. But we've got a more traditional grid for the race tomorrow. It'll be good to see the 2 Ferraris up there. Can they, over the race distance, take the battle to Max Verstappen? Because Verstappen and Red Bull don't overly seem too happy with the car on this one. Max Verstappen saying it was really difficult here in Miami with the consistency lap to lap, which is something that he's a specialist at. And so could we see that work in the favour of Ferraris, and the 2 of them together in different strategies, they can try and take the fight to Red Bull of Max Verstappen? It'd be interesting to see, because Max didn't really run away for it in the sprint, did he? Only 3 seconds ahead, so there is some sort of hope for the Ferraris if all can come together nicely. And then we've got the 2 McLarens. What can they do? I mean, they've started brightly, but then it's not really gone well for them after the sprint qualifying, where they looked like they'd be right in the hunt. yeah, all to play for tomorrow. Can't wait for the action to get going. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment as always. See you next time.